All right, so let's continue on with some of the authentication. We added some additional fields to our user model yesterday. Remember what some of those were? We had a first name and a last name, for instance. So instead of welcoming an email address, I could actually say welcome my first name and last name, right? So let's do that. We had that in our shared nav file. So instead of welcoming the current user email, let's welcome the current user first name, followed by a space, followed by the current user last name. All right, so that's one way to do that. Let's reload this now. And now it says, welcome, Dave Jones. That's a lot nicer, isn't it? But wait, there's more. This is a prime example for drawing this up. If I want to say, print out the current user's full name, I would have to do this every place in all of my ERB files, everywhere I wanted to have a full name, right? So I could change this by adding another method in the user model. So let's go to our models, in our user model, and we could change this and say, let's create a new method, a class variable method called full name. Well, we have to define it. And what we want this to do is return the first name, followed by a space, followed by the last name. All right? And return is implied here, but let's put it in. So that's going to take whatever user is being calling this, and we can call the full name method instead, which will concatenate a longer name for us. So back in our nav, I can change this to just say, return the full name. All right, so that's a little nicer. It adds additional methods to our user table that we can access just as if it was another column in our table.
There's helper methods, right?
All right, so let's see what that looks like. Refresh. And we get an error. All right, undefined method full name. So did I call it right? I have it right. Well, let's just do it that way. All right, there we go. So I don't need to have it as a class level variable, apparently. So a method. So now it created one method, full name, which has all this. And that means I only have one place in my code that I have to change that.
Oh, yeah.
So that's pretty handy, right? Pretty useful.
Yeah, if you were to have done user.fullname outside of the class, that's where it would work.
No, I don't think so. That should have created a class level variable, but maybe that's not what I need. All right, so the next part of the assignment was to create, for your products page, to create a store controller. So the idea behind this is I can create another way into my database without having to worry about clipping out certain columns for my administrative user. Then I could block off all access to my products controller completely and only allow people in to the store controller. Does that make sense? So I will do it, although it doesn't really match with my movies. I can't think of another way into my movies. A what?
Rental?
All right, let's call it a rental controller. So let's generate a new let's just create a new controller. We don't need to scaffold it. And we're going to call it rental. And we're going to add some actions. Remember, we did this many weeks ago. We want to add some action names like index and show. That's really all we need for our rental. So we say, OK. It'll create my controller for me. And I've got my two methods, index and show. And if I click on this, this will create the view for my index action in my rental controller. So now I'm here. This is where I would do the show page. I mean my index page, and this is where I would do my show page. All right? So what we can do is go back to our movies controller and do something similar to that. So I'm going to copy this show. Well, the show doesn't matter. I'm going to copy this page here, this variable for my movies, because I'm going to get it from the same model. It's a different controller accessing the same movies table. Is that cool? So inside of here, I'm going to create a variable called @movies. It's going to go to my movie model, paginate them all for me, and give me a bunch of movies that I can display on my page. Now my index is going to be very similar to my movie index. So I'm going to copy this in its entirety and move it to my rental index. There we go. Huh? Copy it. It's a whole separate view to get into the store versus the products. For your case, the products. In my case, the movies. So inside of here, we're going to still have our pagination. We don't need this anymore. We're still going to have a table because we're going to list all of these. We don't want to show them the ID, so we take that out. We might want to show everything else. We don't care. We're not going to let the admin do anything in here. We're not going to have a new column. So that's my row. I'm going to display all of that information. And then inside of here, I'm going to strip out the movie ID. I've got my name, my description, year, format, image tag, and I probably need my show link. And let's strip out all of this admin navigation. Oh, is that what I did? Okay, there. All right, and I don't want to ever allow them into a new movie, so I would want to say, I don't need a link here. Let's just take it out. All right, so I only am going to have a show link here. So let's go and see if we can get to that. We'll go to /rentals, plural. That gets to my index page. And it's got to be rental /index.
Yeah, because you didn't set.
There we go. Right. It did create a routes for me, but I didn't make it anything special. So config routes, it created these two methods for me. All right, so that's my well, right now it's going to my movie path, but we're going to fix that. That's going to go to the show page. But we might want to have our rental show page different, so we're going to modify that. All right, so now we have our rental show page. Should look similar to our movies show page. I keep biting my tongue and I can't speak. Movies show. So let's copy all of this, put it into my rental page. And now I don't want to have an edit link, so we'll take that away. I could format this any way you wanted to. It's basically the same. Let's leave it like that. And then, yeah, that should be right. I think my links are wrong here, though. Yep, I'm going to my movies show page instead of my show page. So where would I change that? This is the rental controller. How do I change these links to go to my new store or rental show page instead? Okay, so my rental index is where it creates those links. So this link to here is no longer going to go to the movie. I have to go to a well, I lost it. Let's run the rake routes. I already have that up here. Rake routes. And we'll see what that new path is, right, that I need. Gosh. So I've got a rental show and I've got a rental index. But my index is fine. That's not a big deal. My show page, though, has to be a lot more like this movie show page. So I need to have something that looks more like this, right? I have to have the ID of which movie to show. So I need to change our routes file. Instead of having rental show to look more like, where's our calendar? Something like this instead. So rental and then show, and then I need to have a ID at the end of this, right? So I know specifically which movie to show. And that's going to go to my rental and my show page. And we can give it our own variable name as something like rental show. All right, so I've made this URL. The ID is not optional. I didn't put parentheses around it. I need that to go into my rental. And then I'm going to go specifically get that specific movie and display it. So let's run the rake routes again, just to see what it looks like. So now my rental show goes to the right place, and it's got an ID at the end of it. Are we with me so far? Any questions on this? Have I lost you all? You'll consult the video later. All right, so in our controller, we have to go get a specific movie, right? So that our displayer, I need an @movie in here somewhere to display this, right? So I need to go get me an @movie. And how do I get a specific movie? Okay, movie dot find, and I need to get from the params, remember our params hash, sub ID. All right, so that's it. That will now go find it and set me up an ID which populates my movie and goes back into my show page. Well, now we have to fix the index page. So instead of linking for our show here, we don't want to link to the movie. We want to link to our rental show path with the movie ID. And I could say movie.id. I don't have to, right? This is optional. But that tells you that now that's going to be passed. It will create a link to the rental show path with this particular ID pushed on the end of it. So let's see now if my system is correct. All right, so now when I hover over this, oh yes. So now it goes to rental/show/155. So now this is my show page that I just created. My back should go not to movies, it should go to my rental index, right? So we need to fix up a few things. I also have this problem up here in my link, right? I need to link to this as well. Because that was the link, that was this link here on the side. I want that to go to the same place that this went to. Then on my show page, I need to go back to what? Rental index path.
Do we really need two different show pages for them? I mean, they're showing the same thing. Is there
One's got a link to edit,
one's not?
right? And you might put, the idea for this is, for your products, your show page would show the cost. But we don't want to show the cost to the user. So this is a quick way of having a completely separate view that looks completely different than an admin might want to see it. They don't care about all the fluff. They just want to see the data. So we might, even on our show page, put it in a table or something.
We couldn't just change
No.
certain things to it.
Not for this assignment. You can theoretically do anything you want, but I want you to do it this way.
Well, it is copy and pasting,
All right, so let's see if these links now get changed. So these go to rental/show 154. I'm still in my rental show 154. I hit back. It's going to go to rental index, and there we go. Isn't that sweet? Beautiful, eh?
It's beautiful,
Yeah, my CSS. Well, it somehow it got these links back in here, and I just haven't even figured it out.
I don't think you actually changed them. I think you changed them in the just in that.
No, I changed them at one point. I had it changed. Yeah, it did a after. Here it is, after link. So that's in the print.css. So somehow my print.css got brought back in here. And that was in my layouts. So I'm somehow bringing in my print style sheet again. Shouldn't be. There you go. Much better, huh? Shut up.
I learned in CSS you just float everything.
Float everything. Let's see. Media screen. That should have worked. So there's something else in my after tag up here. I don't know.
Stuff that you just changed was lined out on your inspector, so you didn't affect anything, Dave.
Oh, just now I know I didn't. I didn't do anything.
See that line that's through those?
Yeah, but this is the linked.
Those aren't affecting your page.
No.
It's lined out, it doesn't affect your page.
I understand. But I've got an after on here somewhere. It has to. It has to have an after effect. See, it is affecting it. What do you mean? It's adding all of those links.
The pound sign at the end.
Well, I think it was just like that.
See, that's the whole thing that makes it look messy. So it's somewhere in this after, link colon after. So in my style sheets. Link colon after. I don't know why it's still loading it, so let's just delete that. Take care of that. That's how you style something right there. Delete it. Let somebody else figure that out. There you go. Much better. All right, so I have a different way, and then what I could do on my controller for my movies is keep them out completely. I could remove my accept here, and they would never see that. They should never get into my movies controller, right? All right. So that's the store controller. Everything else is enough for your next week's assignment. Any questions?
Thanks, Dave.